Hey friends, welcome. In this video, we're going to learn how to alias columns. All right, let's take a look here. So first of all, go into the table. We're going to add one more record. So right click on the table and go to add the top 200 rows, as we've done before. Nothing new there. All right, and here, let's enter a new salesperson. So for example, John, and then star salesperson. Enter a value for him as his sales or his money earned. So say 350,000 this time. And notice that when you try to save this, it says here, right, that the data in row 6 was not committed or saved. And then it says here, column does not allow nulls, insert fails. So that's basically a consequence of not entering a value for the ID. So you fix that by entering a value like 6, for example. That's it. And then it'll work, you see? All we're doing is beginning by modifying our input here in the data. All right, make sure you've got that saved and then click it off. So X. And now we're going to talk about aliasing columns. So let's begin here. I'm going to say, as usual, use my dbase go. And let's go slowly. So look at the data first. I'm going to type select name, title. And remember, because money earned has a gap, you got to have it within brackets. I'm going to put here money earned, like that. And then from table name. So table underscore 1. All right. And notice that at first this gives an error, as you can see here. So put the second bracket, and now it's good. All right, let's run this bit first. So select and execute, and it gives you all of the stuff that we have down below. You can see it. So this is our table, and now we can alias things. So for example, instead of saying money earned, maybe you want to give that a different name in the results grid here. And maybe the name you want to refine more so that it says first name. And maybe the title you want to refine more so it says, for example, employee title or something like that. So those are things that you can do. Take a look here. I'm going to break this over multiple lines so things are easier to see so it doesn't get too crammed. All right, and you can do that just to show you that you can, you see? It still works fine even if you have the code written this way. That's good. All right, take a look. You run it in this form, still works fine. So now let's talk about aliasing. Aliasing is basically a way of renaming the columns for display purposes. It doesn't touch the underlying data, keep that in mind. So I'm going to say here, for example, as, and I'm going to say, for example, first name, like that. So this here becomes the alias. Let's go one stage at a time. So notice that at first we have name, and now I'm aliasing his first name. Let me select that and execute. And now you've got first name showing in the results grid. If you refresh the column names on the left side in Object Explorer, right-click refresh, you're not going to get anything different, right? This is all superficial that we're doing here. All right, maybe the title you want to refine, so we'll say as employee title this time. And again, when you run it, the title will become different in the results grid. Execute. And maybe money earned you want to do last. So I'm going to say, for example, as salary. Like that. And notice the salary is not enclosed between anything. Run it, hit execute, and there it is, you see? So notice that when you have a gap, like employee title has a gap in the middle, right? If you remove the single quotes, like that, and you try to run it, you see it's giving errors here all over the place. So when you have gaps, you enclose within single quotes. When you don't have a gap like salary, you can leave it as it is. That's it. Then it works fine. All right. So we've aliased. Now just to build things up, remember you alias, and now you can do all the other stuff that you've done before, for example, with a where clause. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to type where, for example, and now you specify some logical condition that picks out the records that you want. I'm going to do that next. I'm going to say here where money earned, like that. And now you specify some logical condition So this time I'm going to use the not between. I'm going to say not between, like that's 170,000 and say 250,000. All right, let's run that first. But you may want to pause the video, right, and make a prediction as to which records will show. All right, but let me run it. So it says not between 170,000 and 250,000. So execute that. And when you look at the salaries, you've got 110. Well, that falls outside our range of 170 and 250. You've got 70 that falls outside the range of 170 and 250. It's not between them. You've got 300,000 that is not between 170 and 250. And you've got 350,000 that is not between 170 and 250. So this confirms everything is working as expected. Here, if you want, you may want to check this. Can we use the Alias version? So type where, for example, salary. Try typing it that way. Let me just spell it correctly. For salary, not between those two. Let's see whether that will work, okay? And it doesn't work, you see? There you get an error message. So I'm going to type money earned here. And then it does work. That's it. Now why might that be? Remember, because from runs first, then where runs next, correct? Money earned is present in the original data, so when where runs next, it can find it. All right. And lastly, as before, we can sort the information. We are building up our accrual in small pieces. So we can sort in a variety of ways. I'm going to type, for example, order by, say, title, descending. So it's going to take the title that would usually fall on the bottom of the alphabet, and then it's going to bring it up top. All right, so let me take this. And again, you may want to pause the video and make a prediction as to how this will actually look. But I'm just going to run it. So hit execute, and notice that style salesperson comes first, the next one comes first, programmer comes next, and HTML developer comes next. It's going by the descending, so the letters that are on the bottom of the alphabet go up to the top. That's why star salesperson shows up. Of course, if you want to force the other sort, you leave it without the DESC. And now the letters that normally come before the ones on the bottom will be shown first. Take a look. Execute that, and you see HTML developer comes, and then programmer, and then star salesperson, and then star salesperson. So the default here is ascending, ESASC. You can type it, if you want. And lastly, just to show you that you can put a comma, and now you can sort by the salary. So imagine if you first sort it this way, DESC. You have first sorted by the title and descending order. And now, once you've done that, within that, you can sort by the money earned. So let's see whether we can type salary here. And notice salary does show up here. That's an important bit to understand. Let me run this. So hit execute. And notice salary does show up in our order by. So that's important to understand. From runs, right? Grab the table, then the where runs next. When we tried to type salary right here in the where, it didn't work. It wasn't found. But then after that, you select, and part of the selection process is making the salary. So because the select has now executed, so to speak, down below in the order by, which runs last, the salary can be used. You see? So there's a lot of subtle detail here that has to be understood carefully. All right. And again, I'm going to emphasize this. How might we do this in simple English? What are we doing here? So remember, we're saying grab the table first. Next, where runs to select the records we want. Next, stage number 3, select runs to get the columns we want. And that's also why in the order by, which runs last, we can use the salary because the columns have been obtained. Okay, so select runs last. and therefore salary can be used in the order by. And I meant to say here order by runs last, like that. Order by runs last, and therefore salary can be used in the order by, and it works perfectly. So again, friends, pause the video, type up this code just as I do. I do it, as you see, line by line by line, and then you'll develop a deeper understanding of it. And that's it for me. So thank you. And if you want to see more, what do? You take this, right, enable the actual execution plan, and run it with the execute. And go to the execution plan and look through it carefully. And again, as before, even though this looks more complicated, you observe immediately that the sort part is the most expensive one. 78% of the cost of the query. All right, let me move everything up, and I'll see you in the next one.